Welcome, everyone, to Sunday Fuel, where we go over the trades from the week past and the week ahead. This is your weekly trading show that happens every Sunday, exactly at whatever the hell time I want to do it at. I got a life. I'm not going to spend the whole time just sitting around waiting to talk to you people. Wait, this is Sunday Fuel. I mean, welcome, my acolytes. Do not worship me. I am only the bearer of truth.
Bearer of truth. I want to know what happened. Okay, Mister Bearer of Truth, Mister Perfect. I hear from the gods. What happened?
I mean, everything is happening exactly as it should on schedule.
Well, didn't Bitcoin target 80K?
Okay, when we are talking about the weekly trades, we're saying that this is where the price should be going. It could happen within that week, it could happen later on. All right, it didn't get there yet. Now, I fully expect, and look, I'm seeing this at 11:11, so you know this is divine providence. I'm expecting that by 8 o'clock tonight, you're going to see 80,000 on Bitcoin. 80,000, 8 o'clock tonight, 80,000, 8 o'clock tonight. Interesting. And when it does, I want you to tweet out to me, he is risen. Okay. Just so, or Christ is king, whichever one you want. Okay. Just to your Maya Koopa. Look, the trade didn't happen this week the way I wanted it to. It hasn't gone there yet, but that's fine. In a bull market, sometimes the price gets away from you. Actually, this is the complaint people have been bringing towards me. It's like, where's my bull market? Where's my 100,000 Bitcoin? I'm like, guys, we're right on schedule. All right. And we're going to take a look at some of those trades this week so you can see exactly what I mean. But before we do, I just want to ask, how are you doing, Peter? How are you feeling?
Look, I've been vibe coding, so I feel great. I feel great. I finally built an app that I've always wanted to build. I
You're
committed
using
it to
Cursor,
Git.
right?
Was that?
Cursor you're using
Yeah, Cursor.
in agentic mode on auto?
Yeah,
It's the way to live. It's the way to live.
yeah,
What are
it's
you
really
building? Oh, yeah,
good.
you're building an event planner
I
or
finally built
event.
it. I committed it to Git. I think I just made an update. Anyway,
Don't even
I'm gonna go
start
look at that.
sharing your screen, Peter. That's not what Sunday feels about.
No, I'm
Okay.
not going to.
I'm
But
humoring you a little bit here.
if anybody's out there, you've heard about vibe coding. Um, it's not what I thought it was. I thought you needed to know how to program to some degree. In fact, Tom, you told me a little while ago. I said, "Should I go into this?" You're like, you need to understand coding in order to get this done."
Peter, it's
But
better now than it was 3 months ago, and it's better
yeah,
3 months ago than it was 6 months ago.
if you tried the coding, I've tried coding with AI when ChatGPT first came out. Every single iteration, when Cursor came out, everything was just a headache. Now it's literally magic. Like you're just chatting. So if you've used Chat GPT's image generation to create images, that's exactly what this thing is.
Well, more
Now there's
exact than that, because you could target specific lines,
you could
specific
target
things.
specific things. Now, there is a learning curve to some degree, a minor learning curve, like learning how to drive a new car. Like, where are the buttons again? And what do I have to do? How do I pop the trunk? But aside from that, I mean, you could learn how to code an app and make it live available to the world in less than a day, in a couple of
Well,
hours.
you're in the realm now with Cursor where um, it can run command terminals, commands inside of the terminal, where it can do way better research of the web, where you have a note system and like it indexes things better. Like you have models that are way better than the models I was using in Cursor before, and so the things it could do now, like before, I could even do Pine Script with it because it's an obscure language and what it's supposed to be able to do. And now, not only can it do that, I could upload my own rules for how I want it to code different things and things it needs to remember and all that sort of thing. That basically saves me a ton of time, and it could build things out because I could give it images, I could give it doc requirements. It's actually getting to where it needs to be. It goes, oh yeah, I understand. This is what you're trying to accomplish. Now, I still do recommend that if anyone's going to be shipping any sensitive information, they would need to
Of
know how to
course.
read the code in order to figure out, what's the tweet that's going around. People are going to start learning the difference between authorization and authentication. that oh, I built the whole thing. I could collect people's credit card information and names, and then they
Yeah,
just
I'm
end
not
up.
doing anything like that. Like me, it's basic apps. But sometimes you think, oh, I want a tool to do something. Like I wanted a tool where I could kind of plan out what a ticket price for an event should be, just to give me a rough idea of what I should aim for my ticket price. Will this be profitable? Will this be worthwhile? What's the seating I need for the venue given the costs associated with it? And I constantly have to do this math just by hand when I'm planning events. I just wanted a calculator that I could slide some things, ticket number of seats, ticket price. Here are some general expenses. Here are some general incomes, merchandise, sponsorships, catering. These various elements, and just give me a rough idea. I, I unless I've missed it, I haven't seen an app like this out there, and I built it for myself. Now you can just build small little apps to help you with the things that you want to do. It doesn't even have to go out to the rest of the world. It could just be making your life a little easier. And vibe coding, it's incredible.
I have a songwriter app because I now basically the music I listen to is on Suno, AI generated music,
Same.
and if I don't want background stuff and I want lyrics, I want lyrics that I'm gonna vibe with. I
Right.
hate when lyrics are just stupid or basic or whatever. In fact, you think my lyrics are overly complicated. I like overly complicated lyrics. And so I built a songwriter that um, will has the formats that I like, that can highlight the different rhymes, the different schemes, that can paste in a live previews what the lyrics will look like, and then puts all in the tags that I need specifically for Suno. Like just copy it all, paste it into Suno, and now I have a song that I really like. It's just making things for myself. Yeah, it's pretty cool. You haven't even started making. Well, I haven't too, but you haven't started making Chrome extensions yet.
No.
Yeah, so I think that's going to open up a whole new thing where you could be making
Well,
Chrome
Chrome is
extensions. Like,
cracking down on extensions, just so you know. A
what do
bunch
you mean?
of ones that I was using you can't use anymore. uBlock, Origin,
No,
gone.
but just for yourself.
Oh, developer mode.
Well, no, you could just install whatever you want into your browser.
Let's see.
Does the browser stop you from? No, you just mean instead of the app store.
Wait,
They
shut up.
magically.
Something more interesting. You coded something on Traders Post, flush and buy Bitcoin, which has got me just like I've been really enjoying that idea. I wanted to create something. I haven't had the idea isn't fleshed out yet, but that's I think one of the next things I'm going to try vibe coding. I want a website where people can go to the website and something that they do or whatever buys Bitcoin for me from Traders Post, some small amount, but that there's like an ad or something on the website, a ad placement where anybody could pay, $10 to put an ad there for, until it gets booted or something like that. And I wanted this competition between the ad revenue versus the spend on Bitcoin. If I can get it so that the ad revenue is always greater than the Bitcoin, then I can get people constantly, wanting to buy Bitcoin. And then whatever Bitcoin is purchased, I don't know what to do with that Bitcoin, but maybe there'll be a giveaway or maybe some big thing. But I wanted to see if I can dial in this converting ad sponsorships, ad revenue to Bitcoin buys. And if I can get that ratio right, then I can get as much Bitcoin as possible purchased. So I want to talk to you about that, but vibe coding that seems like a lot of fun.
Yeah, one thing I want to bring up too is it's just been on my mind that because of the limited 21 million supply of Bitcoin, I keep thinking of the inevitable scenario, which seems to me that you end up where and people losing their coins and hodling them or whatever it is, and there's always going to be a price at which someone is going to want to sell their Bitcoin in order to get cash, even though they say they want to be just a crypto only society. I think they'll eventually people will sell it. So you can imagine that the Bitcoin gets siloed and siloed and siloed and siloed and siloed, and what you're trading is derivatives of Bitcoin, that sort of thing. You get to the point where the Bitcoin price keeps going up and up and up and up, assuming the demand is still there, to the point where you have this insane market cap, but there's only two Bitcoins available, and one of those Bitcoin, like Michael Saylor or his grandson, like has, and it's worth, $100 trillion, and the other Bitcoin we're just all sharing fractions of it. And then I think about that, the power that person holds. And then you think to yourself, well, what would be the characteristics of the type of person who'd be able to hold on to the one Bitcoin all the way to 100 trillion, 500 trillion, whatever number you have. So quadrillion, whatever it is, some insane number. Well, it's going to be the rich, powerful, and famous, right? Whoever doesn't need to sell for $10 trillion because they have $10 trillion already is the person who's going to hold on to it. Because otherwise, why would you hold on to the Bitcoin, right? Why don't you just take the money or take the
But
wealth or whatever?
how could you sell that? Would the liquidity, would the volume
I'm
be
just saying
there?
that. Let's say the Bitcoin price keeps going up.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, you're going to get to someone's number where they go, "Okay, I'm going to
Right.
sell out."
Everybody's got a number.
Yeah,
Unless you're super rich.
Well, if you're super rich, your number is even higher.
Okay.
But let's say that number gets to the $100 trillion, and you're still like, I'm not selling it. Well, only someone who is so already powerful and wealthy doesn't feel like selling it. Like, why would I ever sell this little number? Which means we're all trading the other Bitcoin, and that guy just holding the one Bitcoin in the wallet. Just the simplistic Black Mirror sort of theory for that. And so I think to myself, wait, that's like the ultimate globalist, the ultimate scheme, Ozymandias. My plan all along was just to hold the one Bitcoin. I'm going to hold the one Bitcoin at the end.
Luckily, it'll take many years to get to that point.
There's one guy on Twitter who has he does every year on April 15th when he files his taxes, he takes a look at his Bitcoin wallet that he lost the keys for.
Yeah, 132 million.
Oh my God, brutal.
I would not look at that. I would not look at that. I saw that too. Brutal.
Well, I'm just saying, like, the locked away Bitcoins, if not going to be any more Bitcoins, is going to keep going. And at some point in the Bitcoin dream, there's only two Bitcoins left. The one that the rich person has and the other one that we all share. Elysium style. Okay. Sunday Fuel is about avoiding that type of dystopian future by funneling wealth to us and our kin. In order to do that, we need a strategy that doesn't just allow you to do 1x leverage, 2x leverage, 3x leverage. We need 50x leverage, boys and girls. We need 50x leverage because that's the only way we can siphon off the productivity, the wealth, the energy stored and put it into our own pockets in order to become wealthier. In order to have a better future, Peter, we need to be the elite class. I think all elites say that, and they're right. Mm-hmm. And they're right. So let's go ahead and be the elite class. Talking about the trades that we had last week, talk about a boring week. Peter, nothing happened. Right? After we had our run up from the bottom, let's take a look at a 2-hour Bitcoin chart. We had this run up from the bottom that your boy Secret Profit predicted. 30% run up all the way up to the daily VWAP level. And remember when I was telling you, like, when there's no other VWAP levels like nearby, like it's sideways. It's basically sideways until we get to over here. Once we cleared these two VWAP levels and we headed downwards to clear all the remaining ones, the idea is that we're headed towards this yearly volume weighted average price. And then we cleared all that. Around over here is when the $74,000 level was cleared by the yearly wave. So that downside risk is gone. And we moved up to over here. And I was sort of like, okay, where are we going to go from here? Our weekly trade from last week was setting up the 80,000 level as the target level. And we just basically stayed sideways in this bull flag. Super boring. And so the only trades that really happened last week, there was just so minimal. I only even took one of them. Was over here so this is our weekly start. And so the day for that day was over here. Where are you?
Click on hide at the bottom there.
Hide, yeah. Over here, this was the daily level that was the previous week. This was the daily level. And so there was no trade to take for that first day because we were already oscillating around that level. It already cleared. Then the next day starts off, and we had this move up. This move up, by the way, I did talk about it in our crypto group. Over here, we take a look at the daily. you'll see here that actually we did talk about this last week. This trend here,
Yeah.
that we were going to hit against that multiple times, and that's what we did. We hit it over here. We got near over here. Basically, we just wicked out into this level. So that was the level I was aiming for, which is why I think I tweeted out that 86.2 was it 86.2, something like
86.2.
yeah,
Yeah.
86.2 was the level I was aiming for a short. So that was like right around here. I took my short from over there, and then so that was up over here, and then this came down. It came down to this level here is where I covered my short, which is fine because then even though it went down lower to the trend, it bounced right back up. Right, where did it bounce back up to? To this daily level. So I actually took a trade from over here. Sorry, from over here up to this daily level, but I didn't even bother tweeting it out because one, I'm bored by putting out all the different signals constantly every single day. I was just doing that just to show, hey, look, sometimes you got to get to the basketball court and just throw a couple of free throws, some 3-point shots. People go, okay, he can really nail it, and then you walk off cool style. You do that every single day, it gets a little bit boring. It was very boring for me. Plus, we have a whole system going to be created soon where we're going to be able to see that. In fact, I'm not going to be showing it to you now. Do I even have it up here?
Hold back.
Fine.
Don't let him see just yet.
No, not the dashboard. I wanted to show something else over here. Where do I have it? Is it you? Here. So I'm just building it out.
All right.
I'm just refining the system over here so that you guys can see. I'm running different metrics on it, trying to get the different setup. Basically, I'm trying to turn the setup that I've been tweeting out into the perfect setups. I want to get the perfect trades and then have different position sizes depending on them. But we're moving towards that direction. But essentially, the levels are being hit the way they're supposed to.
Is that
So
even
over here,
possible to get the perfect anything? Isn't
well,
that just like I've got a system to be blackjack?
not to be blackjack, but to beat $20 table in poker to come out ahead. So last week we had here this daily level. It was hit. Daily level hit. So we hit it here. We hit it here. And then after that, it was so close to sideways that there was no real point in taking any other trades. This one was so close. This other one was, I mean, we started the day on it. And we came back down to it. And here we're underneath, kind of back to it. So we're literally just consolidating sideways. So there's not a lot of
But
trade.
isn't M2, isn't global liquidity going up? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, and this is exactly what I expected. So if we take a look at the M2 liquidity, sorry, not just M2 liquidity, global dollar liquidity, we had this run up from the bottom over here, which is exactly what we expected, exactly around the days that we talked about. We had the run up. And then we have the sideways period over here, right? Which is exactly the sideways period that we're in. So then I am expecting I was actually expecting getting down to this 80,000 level by April 21st, like around here, basically this weekend, and then a rise up Monday, Tuesday next week. And this rise up would be something like we get to 87.5, let's call it, maybe even lower than that as we jump forward. So that would be this leg up. But it all depends, right? I'm doing a 78-day offset, but it's not exactly that. You have to imagine that the offset dilates depending on the liquidity conditions that we're in right now. And so I'm expecting sometime this week to get another step change up. And it makes sense because we have now been testing this down range level again, and we're going to cross over it and eventually break. And that's a correction that happens in time instead of in price. I would still feel way more comfortable getting down to over here, but it is bullish that it's not getting down there, right? So you're like, well, what happened to the liquidity? Well, it's buoying the price because we should actually have way more volatility. When Bitcoin behaves in this low volatility area, it means there's this competition between the price that's actually pretty dynamic that's happening there, or we get a drop off. Plus, we're headed into Easter, right? It's Easter today. So that makes sense that there's not a lot of volume. But I would expect by tonight, I mean that's what I would think, uh, to get down to this level of here 80,000. If we don't, it doesn't matter how far we get to. The likelihood is that we're going to get to 80,000. So you actually want that to happen as soon as possible, because it's not likely that we're going to avoid this level. And if we keep getting levels that it crosses, so let's say the next week's level is going to be around 84.4. It's not confirmed yet, but 84.4. But let's say we cross up over here and we don't get down there, and we get higher and higher. Well, we're headed down. So we actually don't want. We want this to be cleared as soon as possible if we can. It's either that or we need a step change. We need a step change like we saw over here, where the levels we move so far so quickly past the levels that these become levels that we just ignore. They get mitigated by the yearly wave afterwards. So we need a big step change like this. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So last week the trades, few and far between. The weekly trade has not completed yet. That's still in the running. I'm still short in that running. I did a stupid move myself where I decided I'm so smart. I didn't listen to the charts. I didn't listen to the
Of
channel.
of
And
course.
over here, I was so confident that I decided to short again, to add to my short over here, which is pretty stupid because this level was going to show up, and I just didn't really pay attention to it. It's what happens when you're trading 50x leverage and you get, your eyes become bigger than your plate. Is that a French? That's a French saying. It means that you ate more than you could, you bit off more than you could chew. There we go. And I just have to add extra margin to my position in order to avoid it. And I almost got liquidated here, almost got liquidated here, almost got liquidated here. So I'm pretty happy about this drop. But again, this is still the target. We also have this as a daily target that we didn't mitigate yet. So this is a daily target at 82.2, let's call it. So this level is not mitigated yet. So we have two things pulling us down towards the downside. Next week, we took a look at the trades next week. We're looking at 84.5-ish to be the level. We'll see what happens when we close today at 8 p.m. Well, 10 p.m. on the 2-hour bar. That'll tell us what the level is. I'll tweet that out. And if we're below there, you guys know the deal. The goal is to look for a trade up to that level and then short. If we're above this level, you're looking for a trade down to it with a bounce. Now, the bounce, that would be in the direction of liquidity, but counter to the direction of the VWAPs. And so you sort of want to have a half position on that, a 2.5% position on that, not a full position, because you don't know where that bounce might go. Nothing more glamorous than that, Peter, for the week ahead.
Well, look, it's what the charts say. It's not about glam. It's about understanding what you're seeing and making progress.
I just know that people like coming to church because that's what this is. You're coming to church, and you want to hear the rah, Jesus is coming soon, Bitcoin to the moon. I get that. I understand that. I want that too. Actually, I don't care, but I want that for you guys. But when we have this low volatility where we're not even getting 4% moves during the week, then I'm super bored. And I feel like what we need is for some sky is falling juice in order to get things going. And that's what FinTwit's been boiling up, right? We have all kinds of problems happening inside of the Japanese markets. We have all kinds of problems happening with the tariffs. We have all kinds of these issues bubbling. Repo market seems to be exploding. Collateral credit spreads are widening. These are all things that are dangerous, that are sky is falling scenarios. And what's great about that is that we know what the formula is when the sky falls. That's the government and central banks come in to support markets. They support collateral. Peter, this thing that people are talking about, I don't know if this is true, but people are talking about this idea of 10 years of a bear market like we saw after 2000, the global financial crisis.com, a bunch of different things. One, I can't imagine Trump leaving office going, look, market's down 50%. Market's going to market. This is the correction we all deserve, and this is what we're going to handle. I don't see that coming. Not from a guy who's like, can we replace Powell in a legal way, in such a way that we can get some guy in? And hey, if we're gonna like telegraph that and forward guide that, maybe that counts as forward guidance on top of the forward guidance for the central bank, and then people will front run that, and the markets will go up. This is what they're thinking.
Hmm.
This is what they're talking about. And Powell's not like, no, we got to be responsible and hike interest rates because that's the right thing to do. They're pausing. So like the hawkish of everything is, let's just keep lowering quantitative tightening and supported markets. And the bull side is, America is the greatest market in the world. We need markets to be up. Markets are going to be up. Great time to buy.
Look, I don't see how things could stay flat. We didn't have AI after 2008. We didn't have robotics coming in 2008. I mean, there's disruptions that are happening.
Well, that to me is like 10-year plays. That's half turning to full turning plays.
You're not thinking exponentially, all right? Our brains are not suited for it. You got to listen to Ray Kurzweil.
Well, when the internet came, it was a revolutionary thing, but then it took 10 years before we actually got the Amazons, the tools that we used.
Tom, I vibe coded $1 billion app last night. So not sure what you're talking about. It's not going to take 10 years. I'm going to get it done in about an Easter weekend. All right.
Well, in the short term, it doesn't look good for markets, which is bullish as hell. I am never going to make the COVID 2020 drop mistake ever again, the Volmageddon drop ever again, until proven otherwise, and we get a Peter Schiff, bear market for the next 50 years at the end of America. I'm betting that every drop is going to be met with liquidity injections to the wazoo. Never am I making that mistake again. You hear me? You hear me? All these people want the markets to be up and to the right. All of them.
Don't bet against the
I don't
institutions.
know what the rich people want. I don't know. Maybe what the rich people want. Maybe that's what's going to happen. I don't know, maybe you think that's what's going to happen. What's his name? But Buffett's not sitting on $300 billion worth of dollars for nothing. You think he wants dollars? You think Buffett wants dollars? The thing that dropped 97% in value over the last 100 years. Do you think that's what he wants? No. He's waiting around for the moment he's going to get it. And when that happens, this little minnow is going to be in the wake.
Gobble, gobble.
Gobble, gobble.
Well, look, I like the learning of the markets. The it being boring just gives me time to digest it and to learn and figure things out. It gives us time to launch what you're looking to launch.
That is
so
true.
That's good.
That is true.
That's good.
Some might say it's providential.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
like it's in the Bible. In the Bible, I think there's someone who asked God to pause the day so they could win the battle, and
kill a lot of people. You're right.
The sun paused, so that you've asked God, hey, look, I need more time to launch my product before the bull run, before all the excitement, before the Hollapalooza, and you got your wish. So you let us know when you're ready to launch, and that'll be the signal for the rocket takeoff.
Well, the way I see it, and you've always been my Aaron. I'll always take that Aaron to my Moses. I get it. You're the better speaker. I get it. So the idea here is that we're gonna get to the point where it's gonna be the Egyptians at our back. We're up against the Red Sea, and that one's gonna be like, Tom, I don't understand what's going on, and I'm gonna raise that staff. That sea is gonna part. And look, I get it. I'm not gonna get into the promised land. I understand that. You guys will. I won't get into the promised
okay,
land.
but then we'll spend 40 years in that's what happens after the parting of the sea. They spend 40 years in the desert wandering.
You have to think of it as a montage. There's like calf stuff in there. The tablets get given by God. I'm looking forward to getting some DMT Bush and talking to God in order to get more information. I am looking forward to that. And 40 years, it was like 40 lunar years. So it's not even, what is that, like a weekend? Something like that. Not even that long.
Yeah.
Look, the analogies don't work out perfectly, but you are Aaron and I am Moses.
I accept that. Moses had a bum deal. Moses is the Elon Musk of his time, gets the job done, Nobody thanks him for it.
That is how people see me. You're right. Oh, we'll see what happens. Anything I'm excited about for the week ahead? Fed stuff. Earnings season. Earnings season is not going to be very good. I don't know if you've seen this. CEOs all around the place are like, we can't give any guidance because we don't know what's going to happen with tariffs. That's been pretty interesting. I'm hearing tariffs on kind of funny now because the Nintendo Switch 2 was announced, but they can't actually give the final price
Right.
because they don't know what it's going to be, how it's going to go, what the game's going to be like, all that sort of thing. And so when they're sort of rolling their eyes, like, we don't know, the tariffs is what it's going to be. And they were discussing stuff like, I love this conversation that Tim and Greg were having. They're like, what price would the Nintendo Switch? What would be the maximum price you could handle buying it at?
Mm-hmm.
And Tim was saying, look, at 1,000, do I buy it? And Greg's like, 1,000. I'm thinking 600, and we could write it off. But what would regular people do? And people in the chat was going on 500. I couldn't get any more, and people go, okay. But I just love the conversation of like this discretionary thing that I don't need to spend money on. How much money would I spend? It's such an American mentality of
Look,
like,
I
consumer
could
mentality.
accept $1,000 on the Switch. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. The upgrades to the Switch from the previous generation are actually really great, but the pricing of the games so high. $80 games.
Games have been historically low. Games used to be $70 to $100 when we were kids.
Yeah, I know, but the last generation didn't have that, and they don't even
They
have the
did
free
$70.
games.
Yeah, it was $70 games.
No, okay. Well, they used to have free games that were fun to play.
Are you talking about like first party games and third party games and stuff like this?
What do you mean?
Like Mario Kart was never free.
No, I know there's always games that are $80 and things like that, but there were free games that were given on the Switch that are introduced people to the world and got them started and didn't have to pay a lot of money to get it done. They were just included. Now those free games are paid. And
Yeah, but they're like $10.
$10, $20, some of them
Yeah.
more. But
Yeah.
if you're going to be paying a high price for the Switch already, the costs just keep going up.
I'm going to be buying a Switch anyway. Switch 2. Like this is what I laugh about because people want zero interest rates, Peter. People want zero interest rates. It's so funny. They want the very thing that's like not good for the economy long term. They just want markets to go up, and that's what they want. They want the 401k to be up, 401k to be up. They want their assets to be up. They want their homes to go up, and it doesn't matter to them that the economy is suffering and that middle class is dying and that Main Street is dying. They want their Switch at $400.
I find it fascinating when I watch these news segments and them talking about what's going on in the markets. The wise among them, they understand there's a problem. It's not sustainable. But the questions that they ask afterwards, the undertones are, no, but there can't be any disruption. It has to all be good. Any fix has to only be good and only up. If the market ever goes down, if there's any problems, your solution is terrible. Keep it the bad way it was. And I just don't understand why they're thinking, okay, if you or anybody else were given the controls to fix the problem, would the market just uninterrupted just keep going up? Nobody's the wiser. Everything's just great, or will there not be tumult? Or wouldn't the wise thing be to give the president and the people in charge the latitude and leeway to maybe make mistakes, not knowing exactly how things are going to turn out, as opposed to you can fix it, but nothing better ever go wrong?
Well, I'm going to say this straight to camera because I might just send this to Greg and Tim just as for everyone to see this. Guys, when the Switch was whatever it was last go around, let's say it's $400, you think, oh, it's cheaper than if it was $1,000. No. Your money went down in value. You just didn't see it. The Switch is actually way more expensive than you think if it was actually priced in old money. It went down. You're just upset because now you actually have to see the cost of it. And that extra money that's going to be on top of it, that money is supposed to go to your government. It's to your own government that it's going to, as opposed to exporting the productivity, the money, and the energy of your country, of the workforce, outside of your country. Why are they selling switches to the United States? It's to extract the money and productivity from the United States abroad. And so I get it. You want the cheaper switch because you're used to that, but it wasn't actually cheaper. You were just paying for it in a way you didn't realize, that you couldn't see.
Wow, that's a hard truth you just said there, Tom. That I didn't even think about it that way. That hurt me a little bit, but it was true. The truth, it hurts, but it is true.
Interest rates should be up, Peter. Long-term interest rates should be up and to the right.
When we were youngins, they were up. I never heard about this zero interest rate, and I kept hearing about it. I'm like, that's not normal. When you used to put your money in the bank in a savings account, and you would gain
and make
money.
4 or 5%. Exactly.
And now you're like an idiot if you save your money. You're an absolute idiot.
Yeah, you have to have your money in the stock market in order to be able to get the percentage gains that you need so that you can retire, which means you're forced to gamble so that you can retire. That people just totally forget this. I don't know where this 1-2 switch, how it happened so cleanly,
Yeah.
but that you're looking at your 401k at the who was it? Someone else kind of funny was doing it. They're just my view of American like laptop class. Like they make their money through doing something that's discretionary. No fault to them, but they see their role in this San Francisco Silicon Valley sort of bubble, and they just don't understand that that's not what the rest of the country is like.
Right.
And so the interest rates, what you want is for the interest rates to be high enough that you can save, and the money that people save is what causes productivity and investment within the community. But if it's zero interest rates, so zero interest rates, let's say for the short-term rates, 2-year rates, and like a little bit higher than that for long-term rates, then the only way you can make money in order to survive is to gamble. What else are you going to do? You want 8% interest rates on a long term and 5% on the short term. And that way, the stock market you don't think about. You put your money in the savings account. You could go around, actually doing things. It's the shock of it that people are not particularly used to. So, I just find it absolutely fascinating. And the video game industry, to me, is the perfect proxy for it. People sitting around talking about, I can't believe it, on like the cost of Horizon Zero Dawn and like loot boxes in games. I just find it to be so beautifully District 1. So exactly District 1. Fantastic. All right. Well, that's it for Sunday Fuel for this week. You're going to look out for my tweet for what Bitcoin is likely to be targeting. We do have an uncleared weekly level, which is not usual for Sunday Fuel. These things don't usually stay that way for long. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a quick, at some point,
pull back to 80
on Bitcoin. And when you see that and that lower level clears, actually we have it level, that lower level clears, that's pretty good. And I would be taking a long from over there from 80,000 up. There is a mini level here at 78.4 that I'm not entirely sure if this was cleared. Remember we said that last week that it didn't touch it exactly, so we still have that level.
But didn't the wave move up?
Oh, that moved up from down here for the lowest level.
Oh,
this is a level higher up at 78.4.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know if we're going to head back there. We could. I would still take a bounce from over here at 80. And if this breaks, take a bounce over here at 78.4. But expect this area to be filled, folks. Like some of this area should get filled. If we don't, the higher up we go, the further we have to fall. So
it's ominous.
Take it for what you will.
Well, thanks, Tom.
Yeah, so until then, we'll see you on next Sunday Fuel. Play the outro, Peter.
Don't have that yet.
Play the outro. Sing us a little ditty. Sing us a little tune.
I don't sing anymore. Suno does all my singing for me. All right.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Why don't we have a?
I don't even do things anymore. Just AI does everything. Bring on the robots.
Right, Peter, so you're feeling what it's like when the system works through you.
Yes.
You're getting that sort of idea.
That's right.
That's always the chart. Blonde.